Welcome to the video tutorial for NSERC Equity, Diversity and Inclusion, or EDI, information. This video was recorded by program officers in the Scholarships and Fellowships Division at NSERC and is available in both English and French. In this instructional video, the following topics will be covered: NSERC's commitment to achieving a more equitable, diverse and inclusive Canadian research enterprise, data collection, the inclusion of EDI considerations in the research design, and the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment, or DORA. Let's get started. There is clear evidence that EDI considerations strengthen the natural sciences and engineering, or NSE, communities, as well as the quality, social relevance, and impact of research. Sound EDI practices increase access to the largest pool of qualified potential participants and increase the overall excellence of research. NSERC's programs and review systems are intended to ensure fair treatment of all applications, although we recognize that challenges remain in achieving the full participation of many equity-seeking groups in NSE careers. The creation of an equitable, diverse, and inclusive research community is the responsibility of every member of the community. NSERC and the other agencies are committed to implementing policies and processes which identify and mitigate barriers and biases within our programs. In 2019, a statement on EDI was published on why and how we hope to achieve enhanced EDI. CIHR, NSERC, and SSHRC are committed to excellence in research and research training. Achieving a more equitable, diverse, and inclusive Canadian research enterprise is essential to creating the excellent, innovative, and impactful research necessary to advance knowledge and understanding and to respond to local, national, and global challenges. The agencies hope to achieve this across our programs and funding opportunities by supporting equitable access to funding opportunities for all researchers and trainees, promoting the integration of equity, diversity, and inclusion-related considerations in research design and practices, increasing equitable and inclusive participation in the research system, including on research teams, and collecting the data and conducting the analyses needed to include equity, diversity, and inclusion considerations in decision-making. Federal Budget 2018 and the mandate of the Canada Research Coordinating Committee require the federal granting agencies to address inequities in the research system. Prior to 2019, information on some identity factors was collected from applicants, but this data was incomplete. In 2019, the 3 federal granting agencies began collecting self-identification data in a more complete and consistent manner. This data is used to record participation and success rates in order to monitor the equity performance of programs and to inform policy and program decisions in order to achieve equitable access to research funds. The 3 federal granting agencies now ask you to provide data on your gender, visible minority identity, Indigenous identity, and whether you are a person with a disability. Completing the self-identification form is mandatory for all scholarship and fellowship applications, but for each category you may select the option, "I prefer not to answer." We emphasize that this data is not accessible to reviewers or to your references. Only a limited number of NSERC staff who have received adequate training will have access to this information. It is used for broad statistical purposes and may be used to monitor gender equity and diversity among applicants and awardees. Reliable and comparable data is essential to the identification, tracking, and monitoring of equitable access to research funds. This data is critical for informing and designing evidence-based policy solutions that increase EDI among all those involved in the research enterprise. For programs with application quotas in place, institutions are permitted to recommend self-identified Indigenous applicants above their regular application quota. So, why is EDI so important? When considering EDI in research, there are 2 aspects that must be examined. First is the composition of the research team, or the people who do the research. 2 points to think about here are how equitable and inclusive practices provide access to the largest pool of qualified individuals, and how increased diversity contributes to knowledge creation by providing access to more talent. By increasing the pool of qualified individuals, a more extensive, representative, and diverse pool of Canadian talent is created. NSERC is taking steps to expand how research and researcher excellence is understood and assessed. In addition, diversity has been shown to increase collective intelligence, discoveries, and innovation. Diverse experiences and approaches to knowledge creation increase the spectrum of ideas and insights, which in turn broadens and improves our chances of producing breakthrough discoveries and innovations. The second aspect of importance when considering EDI is the research design. Research is improved by integrating sex, gender, and other diversity considerations into its design. The result is research that is more ethically sound, rigorous, and useful, while also maximizing impact. Now, I'll take a few minutes to speak about the diversity considerations and research design module of your application. When completing an application for the PGSD, CGSD, or PDF programs, you will be asked the following question. Are diversity considerations including, but not limited to, sex and gender taken into account in the research design, methods, analysis, and interpretation and/or dissemination of findings? If you answer yes to this question, you should ensure that diversity considerations are incorporated throughout your proposal. If you answer no to this question, you should use the text box provided to explain why diversity considerations are not relevant to your research design. For further details on what to include, you should consult the list of additional EDI resources provided later in this video. In particular, the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Considerations at each stage of the research process guidance document. As well, you should review the Form 201 application instructions and watch the PGSD, CGSD, and PDF online system tutorial and advice and tips for writing an application videos in this series. Many students and researchers may not think that diversity considerations are applicable to their research. Before deciding this, it is important to consider the following questions. Who are the research subjects? Who are the end users of the research? What are the consequences of not including diversity considerations? To help you answer these questions and to provide guidance on the inclusion of EDI considerations in the research design, several resources are available on the NSERC website. The NSERC EDI webpage houses the Tri-Agency Statement on EDI and provides an overview of NSERC's EDI Action Plan, as well as NSERC EDI programs, relevant news articles, and resources. The Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Considerations at each stage of the research process document is an important resource that you should review while you complete your application. The Stanford University-associated website, Gendered Innovations, is a peer-reviewed project which provides helpful tools to researchers. These include examples and concrete illustrations of how sex and gender analysis leads to innovation. Finally, the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment, or DORA, webpage, which will be covered in more detail in a moment, provides information on the agency's commitment to improving ways in which the outputs of scholarly research are evaluated. In 2019, the 3 granting agencies, as well as the Canada Foundation for Innovation, or CFI, and Genome Canada, joined over 1,600 organizations worldwide by signing on to the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment, or DORA. DORA is a global initiative whose purpose is to support the development and promotion of best practices in the assessment of scholarly research. As signatories of DORA, the tri-agencies have reaffirmed our commitment to excellence in research evaluation and the importance of knowledge translation. The DORA principles are reflected in CIHR, NSERC, and SSHRC's overall approaches to research assessment and in their shared commitment to continuous improvement of assessment practices. A number of existing tri-agency initiatives and policies support research excellence and align with the recommendations in DORA, including research data management practices, open access publishing, responsible conduct of research, ethical conduct of research involving humans, and the commitment to re-examine research excellence through the Tri-Agency Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, or EDI, Action Plan. CIHR, NSERC, SSHRC, CFI, and Genome Canada will work closely together and with the broader research community in Canada to continue to review policies, programs, tools, and practices to identify ways to improve how research is evaluated. For more information, visit the DORA webpage linked in the video description. This concludes the video. We encourage you to watch all other videos in this series that are applicable to the program to which you are applying for additional information. If you have any questions about NSERC scholarships and fellowships programs, you may contact program staff by email at schol@nsirc-crsng.gc.ca. For technical difficulties with the online system, contact the Online Services Help Desk by email at webapp@nsirc-crsng.gc.ca. Good luck!